Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you to our countdown meeting. Now, and this is what I'm sort of like reserving the old prelude and preview videos. I'm condensing them sort of like down to this period because this seems to be a bit more informal, and it might make what I say kind of a bit more important. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are approaching just under 16 weeks to go. So, what have I got to do, ladies and gentlemen? Because even at this stage, there seems to be an incredible amount of things that have got to be organized and things have got to be ready. Now, here's the pros of the things that have happened today. And I want to emphasize something, ladies and gentlemen, is that even though I'm releasing this video on the 10th, I'm actually recording this on the 9th. So for this particular reason, I actually get paid on the 10th. Well, I get paid really on the 11th of each month, but as the 11th is going to be on a Saturday, they move it so it's on the 10th. So that solves that. Now, when I get paid, ladies and gentlemen, I've got like several important, expenses to take care of, like rent, the electricity, the contents insurance, and the tax for my car. And fortunately, I get the tax paid annually, so there's a whole year to set aside a fund so I can get the £200 to have the car taxed, which is one of the things I've actually managed to do throughout the last week, ladies and gentlemen, is that I've actually set up like one of those start to save packages with my bank. Well, I'm not really with a bank, it's with a building society. And just the money's going to pile up there very nicely. And we'll see what goes. So it should pile up nicely. And staying in control, staying on top of my situation is what I have to do. Because, and I want to emphasize something very important, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you come across a very unique individual problem, you kind of have to first assume above everything else that the solution to the problem is actually 10 times easier to get over than it would ever first appear. For example, ladies and gentlemen, all throughout this previous week, I have actually cut back on a lot of expenses. Subscriptions I don't really need to have anymore. Cancelled. A gym that I'm not particularly interested in going back to is telling me that I can't go back. I can't leave until January of next year, and they're going to increase the price, and they're going to take away the loyalty point scheme. Just cancel my direct debit. So I've got literally between now and the 8th of April to enjoy my time at the gym, and I won't have to think about that ever again. So. Also, if they have to change the prices, that means I have to sign a new contract with them, which, no, that's not going to happen. I mean, what are they going to do? To just do that? And because legally, that's what you're supposed to do, ladies and gentlemen. You're supposed to have a new contract and make sure that the people sign it are happy and, all the rest of it. That's how it's called fair. And in this day and age, ladies and gentlemen, so many people like struggle so much with this sort of thing. The last thing people like us need is people to make things difficult for no other reason than just so they can have as much of the money and give as little back as in return. That's not on, ladies and gentlemen, and you better believe that's why I'm not even thinking about going back because of conditions like that. So between these, and also you may remember that period about 3 weeks ago when I came down with food poisoning. I swear it's like done something very strange to my stomach because it must have like shrank by a third because there's no... I mean, just to take today, for example, ladies and gentlemen, I spend about £4 on food for lunch, which is roughly how much I do spend in the last number of weeks. But like even by 5 o'clock this afternoon, I was still like swollen a bit from lunch because I just kind of felt so stuffed. I didn't I thought like I was gonna like blow up after just like £4, 4 quid's worth of food, which I think that's like fascinating. And I don't know if it's just I don't know, some physical change and stuff like that, or if it's sort of like like some mental game that I've hypnotized myself to doing, i.e., I understand that, my time at work is coming to an end. There might be a situation with money. So I've got to make mental readjustments in my mind so that I emphasize things like food a lot less, which that's quite a good incentive, ladies and gentlemen. I must say that. It's a bloody great one, actually, the more I think about it. Also, just because I'm getting better skilled at driving on my own to and from work, I'm actually saving on petrol very, very considerably. Because even when I was like driving on my own, when I first, when I finally got my license, I was able to drive on my own, yada, yada, yada. Before this, I would have to fill up my car at least once a week, which is roughly about £50 in petrol. I would have to fill my car to the brim. And the reason why I had to do it weekly is because when I was on provisional, I was with my dad and we would go back and forth. So there was at least 4 journeys a day to and from work that car had to make. Now, however, I only have to make 2 journeys, getting to work and getting back from work. So that means I only have to pay 50 quid for fuel once a fortnight. But even at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I filled up my car on Saturday, and it's not even a quarter empty yet. That's an incredible adjustment. I think it's just down to very, very simple things. Setting off a little bit earlier, driving quite a bit slower, even on the motorways and stuff like that, and just what you have to do. I don't even leave like the heater on for as long as I need. Sometimes I would literally just leave it on for about 5 minutes, and then I don't even really have the heater on to keep me warm. It's to make sure the windshield and the back screen are completely clear. And it's important, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very important. And I do consider myself a safe driver. I mean, even when I had my provisional and I was just learning how to drive as far back as 2020, I, to this very date, have never been involved in an accident of any description, which if I could go, and if I end up driving until, let's say I was about 70 or 71, and I never had an accident in any way, I'd consider myself very, very fortunate. Then I'd probably be thinking to myself how many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, I could have saved in insurance. One of those things indeed. But at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I must say, all things considered, I think I've got to do what a man's got to do. And that is make changes to my habits, the way I eat, the way I spend my time, the things I just got to do what I've got to do because they are for my best intentions. If I want to save money and even for just to get by, then I've got to do that. If I'm concerned about my weight and have been pleased with the fact that I've managed to lose quite a bit of weight in the last couple of weeks, not just owing to my incident with food poisoning, that's absolutely fine. If, the place I'm working at are more than happy to assist me into getting me to realize that potential, then that's even better. It also establishes the sort of good reputation I really must have in the eyes of my employers. Because it's just, trust is a very, very big word, ladies and gentlemen. And it establishes a sort of loyalty that you can have for certain people. And when that's said and done, it makes life comparatively easier and more enjoyable for a lot of other people, knowing that they have the right people working for them and stuff like that. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is because I had my final consultation meeting with my boss earlier today. I think now, ladies and gentlemen, is the time where if it wasn't obvious I'm going to change things for the better before, I think now, ladies and gentlemen, is the time we sort of step into a higher gear. I know it's, in many ways, I don't even pretend that it's going to be a particularly an easy journey. I really don't think this journey is going to be easy from here on in, with 16 weeks to go. But what I do think, ladies and gentlemen, is that I am, like I said many times before, it's not going to discourage me from trying. And I will make this work, ladies and gentlemen, and not without trying. And I'll see all of you guys again for another report next week. Thank you. Oh, and also for those curious, with all the subscriptions I've cancelled, I've probably saved, on average a month, roughly £100 a month. And that is going to get me quite a long way. That's nearly, it could be nearly a whole month in fuel, or maybe even 2 months in fuel saved right there, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? See you in a bit.